So I really want to start branching out and doing more things with my channel and start talking about different topics and just different things still related to tech and still related to gaming and all that, but I want to do more stuff on my channel. Now, you definitely seen the title of this video, and I honestly also want to do a review of Breath of the Wild, but honestly I'm not even close to finishing the main story in the game, and I really want to do an honest review for the game. So you won't be seeing a review from me for quite some time, unfortunately. So if you're looking for a review of the game from me, I'm not going to give you one because I want to try to sink in as much as I can with the game before I give you my final thoughts, final opinions, and everything like that of the game. Sorry about that. But let's talk about what this actual video is about. Now, what I want to talk about is the one thing that's disappointing about Breath of the Wild, and it really just sucks in general, and it really did just disappoint me overall. I wish it would have been better, but unfortunately it wasn't. The one thing that you already know, which is already a thing and most people already know, is the fact that when you're playing docked on your TV with Breath of the Wild on the Switch, it plays at 30 frames per second. And that is not a solid 30 frames per second either. It drops down to 24, 21, somewhere around there at certain points in the game. And honestly, with a game this hype and a game that's been in development for so long, you would think that Nintendo would actually go the step to make this at least a solid 30 frames per second. Don't get me wrong, of course, 60 frames per second for most games would be flat out fantastic. But if they can get this to run at 30 frames per second, a locked 30 frames per second in dock mode, this would have been one of the best games of all time for me. But it just really hurts me that they did not find a way to play it docked on a TV at a solid 30 frames per second. I know a lot of people are saying, well, just play it in handheld mode. But for a AAA game like this, that's massive, that's big, that's one of the best games like in a long, long time. That's a really big game, and it's really going to be talked about for years to come. It's just really not a good feeling and not a good experience to know that this game does not run at a solid 30 frames per second. I really wish this game would have run at a solid 30 frames per second. If you look at some other games, like even on their last generation Wii U, a lot of games played at a solid frame rate. So don't tell me Breath of the Wild docked on the Switch couldn't play at a solid frame rate. It most likely could have played at a very solid frame rate. I don't really know what Nintendo was wasting, because this thing has been in development for many years now, and we've known that. Honestly, I really want to know what the performance is of the Wii U version, because if this is an indicator that playing the Switch version docked on a TV, you already dropped down lower than 30 frames per second. Just think of the Wii U version. The Wii U does have less power than the Switch, so you must be getting more frame rate issues with that version. It just really kills me inside to know that this game does not play in 30 frames per second at all time. If it did, I would honestly be really, really happy. Of course 60, but again, like I'm saying, 30, just a lock 30 would be really, really nice. It's just unfortunate. Now, will they actually patch this game in the future? Yes, they could patch this game in the future if they wanted to, but I doubt Nintendo's really going to patch the game in the future. Most likely, what they're going to tell us is they're just going to tell us, well, that's the way the game was created, so you're just going to have to deal with it, and that's just how the game's always going to be, and just remember, that's just a game. It was created with a flaw in mind, so you're going to have to look at the one flaw being part of the game forever, which is really just sucks. But then again, they could do something else, and then when they make a new console in like 5 years or something else, they could say, well, we're just going to make a definitive version of Breath of the Wild. It'll come with the DLC, the game, and it'll run at a solid 30 frames per second, or hell, it'll run at a solid 60 frames per second, which is just going to be really, really annoying, considering this game took many years to come out. They could have made it a solid frame rate. It just really sucks. Now, I am rambling on about the frame rate issues and the performance of this game, but honestly, they're not that bad. So if you're still listening to me, they're not bad at all, and they're not game breaking. They're not something that you really want to take in consideration that much. You still do, because they are part of the game, and everyone's gonna notice them. It's not something like a resolution of a game compared to 720, 1080, 1440, to where like only certain people can see it. I'm pretty sure most people are going to see frame rate issues, and depending on where you are, they can get worse. Like sometimes when you're fighting enemies, it does get a little bit choppy, and it does get choppy enough where you're definitely going to notice it. I've had one time to where it was choppy enough to where it kind of really made the game, like, not really unplayable, but enough to where it bugged me a lot, and it really did bother me. That's really one complaint I really just want to talk about in its own video. That's why I am making this video, just talking about how it's a problem, and it just heartens me that one of the potentially best games of all time, or best games like ever, has this problem. It just really sucks. Anyway, guys, peace out. I'll see you guys later in my next video. I'm out, guys.